Hello everyone, and welcome to a follow-up video to the Astroneer Biofuel event, the spooktacular bonanza that recently came out. So this is going to be a pretty short video. I just kind of want to talk about some of my experiences with it, as well as just various kind of my thoughts on the event as a whole. This will contain spoilers, so if you want to complete this event for yourself and you don't want to see anything, then by all means, finish the event and then come back and hang out and check out the video. But until then, I would recommend to avoid spoilers. Maybe not check out how this video ends up going. So as we fall off our Triptarch Tower, we can head on over here to where I have gathered basically most of the event items. So as you can see, the Caudranger Roots, which is basically like a large A platform. I actually really liked this concept. In the past, we've either had to gather things like with the packagers, or we had to automate stuff. Now all of these things already existed in the game, and then we just had to send them out, and that was kind of fun. It was a challenge, but adding an entirely new crafting utility, crafting tool bench, however you want to refer to them, I think was a really great idea. Not to mention having it be like a living theme of having it be like an actual like a live plant that is converting things to biofuel is a really great idea. So I'm really happy about the addition of the Caudranger. I think it's a very clever idea, and hopefully we see more events that either use items like this or maybe apply some new type of technology to the actual Astroneer game that we know, and we kind of have to learn something a little bit new to it. So I think that would be really cool. As for the actual gases, these are technically gases, the squasholine, adipetrol, and noxothane. I didn't have really any trouble with the squasholine. You just smash a bunch of pumpkins and then you're totally fine. You just pick up all the samples, feed them in with an auto arm or something. Really didn't take too long. 180 is kind of a lot, but again, I did this in roughly half an hour. It definitely took me longer to do the other two. The adipetrol really wasn't too difficult either. The Attactus seeds, if you farm up a bunch of them without putting any of the seeds into the Caudranger, you can really get a pretty solid farm going. The Attactus would grow pretty quickly, so in my opinion, it didn't really take too long either. Maybe like an hour for the full 160, 120. Oh no, this one might have been 160, not 180. But yeah, like the 120 really didn't seem to take too long, just a little bit of farming. I didn't realize until after the event that the seeds for these, once you farm them and place them, the mutants are non-hostile. So you can basically go right up to them. I was being a little bit careful when I was mining them. So because of that, I think it made me go a little bit slower initially. The noxothane was a little bit trickier, not in like a difficulty sense, but in just that it took longer. In my opinion, when you mined these plants, they gave you maybe 1.5 to 1.4 times the amount of seeds that you planted. So as opposed to pumpkins that could give you like 4, or adipetrol, which could give you up to 3, you really had to farm out a lot more of these. So I planted batches of like 15 to 18 or so, and I would get enough seeds so that I could go to 3 Caudrangers, constantly be making noxothane, and then by the time I was out of the elegant spewflower seeds, I could go back to the ones that I was growing and they'd already be ready to harvest. So that seemed to be a good number for 3 Caudrangers. If you do a little bit less, then you might run out of seeds to place in your Caudrangers before these are done growing, and then you're kind of waiting. If you do too many, you're just not as efficient, but it really doesn't matter. And I found that I would get roughly like 15 seeds or so that I could be making noxothane with. So pretty solid hauls. Again, it took a little bit longer to grow, so that's why these ones took longer. That's why you were probably required to do less. But still, I really like these gases. Not to mention the effects look really cool. So what exactly were the cosmetics that we got? So the first item that we received is the pumpkin hat. Now, I don't really wear too many helmets in this game. In my opinion, this one was all right. It looks kind of cool. It's got some teeth. It looks like it's trying to eat your face. Again, it's all right. It fits the spoopy theme. I think it's good. I wouldn't say that this is a super cool hat that's the coolest they've ever received or ever made, but I wouldn't also say it's the worst. Kind of a nice middle ground. The visor I think is really cool. I do like the purple skull. It's got a really nice effect to it. However, I am just a little bit of a old-fashioned Halloween event #1 kind of guy, where I think the pumpkin visor from the first Halloween event looks really good. I like the flickering of it and stuff like that. So I think that the pumpkin's a little bit better, but I do know that there are some people who are going to really, really like this endless visor. And in my opinion, it's a very solid visor. We don't have any animated purple ones, so having an animated purple one like the endless one, I think is going to be a really good call. Um, then the last item that we have is this pumpkin shelter. Now, I had kind of alluded to something like this maybe happening quite a while ago, where I was thinking it would be really cool to get skins of items in game by completing events, and I'm really glad to see that they actually did it. The pumpkin shelter looks super, super awesome. It operates just the same as a normal shelter. I haven't figured out the exact number, but it does provide power. Outside of it, it does provide oxygen. It does have a couple cable pins and item slots, so it really seems like it's the exact same thing as a normal shelter. It just looks different, and it looks really, really cool. But what I'm really happy about, primarily, is that you can actually craft these. So if you have a large printer, you can craft as many pumpkin shelters as you want, which I think is really, really nice. Maybe they did this because once you place a shelter, you can't move it. So if you place it by accident and you want another one somewhere, you can't just kind of pick it up and move it somewhere. But I think it's really nice to have this extra shelter that you can make, because it kind of means that you don't just have it to have it. So all of the chess pieces and the Leo ball that I have right here, all of the stuff from previous events, you kind of have them to have them. They don't really do too much. But with the pumpkin shelter, it actually has functionality, and you can recraft it in the event that you want to move it or actually use it somewhere else. So I think that's a really great idea. Outtakes of the event, however, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really like the new item, as I have mentioned. I love the cosmetic on a shelter, so almost like a skin of sorts. But what I really want to see happen is I really want to see a better use for these gases. Now, I did some explosions testing, and these gases individually as a singular item have roughly the same explosion capabilities as a can of hydrazine or a full thing of hydrogen. So it's a little bit better than hydrogen, because hydrogen has 5 units of gas per can. This one is just a singular one per can, so 5-to-1 ratio, a little bit better of explosion power. But that being said, I want to see the ability to power vehicles or spaceships with this. The spaceship right now has a hydrazine thruster, and I would love to see a way to maybe convert the biofuels to usable thrust, or maybe some way to convert a biofuel into either hydrazine or some other type of fuel that can be used on a thruster. Maybe some way to provide power, like a generator of some kind that you can use to power either tractors and trailers, or like the medium or large rover. I think that would be super, super cool, because this would be like a sustainability type update. You would have the ability to create as many of these as you want from plants. Granted, it's not super difficult, but by the time you're at Aatrox, you can pretty much make as much hydrazine as you want anyways. So you can really kind of just farm these out. Maybe they wouldn't be as powerful because they're a little bit easier to get, like noxothane, a little bit more challenging, but maybe it would be one quarter as strong as hydrazine or something like that. But I think that would be a really, really cool idea to see, and I would love to be able to play some form of update where these actually provide a power in some means. But that being said, that kind of rounds out the update. Those are my general thoughts on it. Again, I really enjoyed this event, and I hope that obviously they come up with more events like such. All of the cool items to find, an actual crafting station as opposed to just repurposing old things, is always a plus. So as I said, hopefully they continue. I'm always a fan of what Systems Era ends up putting out in Astroneer, so can't wait to see what they do for the next event. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to either like or subscribe, or any of the means down below. Let me know your own thoughts too. If you dislike the event, drop a comment. Let me know why. If you like the event, glad to hear it. Also let us know why. Hopefully we'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day whenever you're watching, but till then, we'll see you in the next video.